All right, video number 5, meshes in Blender. So in this video, you remember the mesh that we drew in the last video. We're going to go in and we're going to rebuild this mesh in Blender so that you can see how Blender is really just about interacting with the visualization so that the program can handle the data for you on the back end. Real quick, I just want to go through a Blender file is actually a data structure itself. And the mesh data structure is somewhere inside of that data structure, the Blender file data structure. And so meshes are inside, those are contained inside the data struct of objects. And actually there's a list. I'm not going to draw the whole thing, but there's a object. Each object is part of a list of, well, maybe I will draw it, objects, right? And then that is inside of a scene struct. And each of these structs have a lot more stuff inside of them. Even the vertices and edges and faces structs that I mentioned last time, they have more data in there that Blender uses for different stuff. You're going to see that in just a second. You don't need to worry about any of that. You really only got to worry about the stuff that I've introduced. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to worry about it. I mostly don't worry about it. I don't use most of the stuff that's in there. This is just the stuff that you got to know. So let's hop over into Blender. And you can see we've got a setup here. I've got a side view with, I'm viewing it from positive X, a front view viewed from negative Y, and then a top view. And we're mostly going to work in this top view, and you can see I've got it shifted over a little bit because I want it to look like our graph right here from 0 to 4 on the Y-axis and X-axis. In Blender, the Y-axis is green, the X-axis is red, the Z-axis is purple. We'll deal with that a little bit later. And you can see there are no numbers on the graph, but these lines, the more pronounced grays, are each 1 unit. The units in Blender are arbitrary. You can change them to wherever you want. So this would be like 1, right? Like 1 for Y is this line, 2Y, 3Y. The X-axis is 0Y, and same in the other direction. And so we've got a cube here, and let's go back to the scenes, rather the view layer is what you're used to seeing in the outliner already. And you see that's our cube, and it's got the upside down triangle logo, which indicates that the data it contains is of the mesh type. And you can see there's a cube mesh. It's named cube, but that upside down triangle is a mesh. I hit Shift A, remember, upside down triangle, mesh. And down here in the spreadsheet, you can see an indexed list of its vertices, and it's got 8 vertices. I'm going to tab in here. Actually, just rotate around. You can see the little black dots. I'm going to hit B and select them. Those are the vertices. Let's go back up to the top and kind of get our 4x4 grid back. I'm going to press X to delete all the vertices. Actually, I didn't delete all of them. Now I'm going to delete all of them. Something I did too, I'll tell you about in a second. Let's start by adding that first vertex, vertex 0, 1.5, and 1.0. You can see the list over here, there are no vertices, but I'm going to add one, and 1.5x should be about here, and 1.0y. So I'm going to hold down left control, and I'm going to right click, sorry, and that will add one vertex. You see it's just about at 1.5, 1.0. And all of the transforms that I mentioned, like G for grab, in object mode, they actually work in edit mode as well when you have, for whatever vertices or edges or faces you have selected. So I'm going to move that along X, and I'll go through this a little bit tighter in the hotkeys video when we do that, how I'm controlling this. And 1.499 is close enough for me. On GY, and I'll move it down to 1.001. So now we've pretty much got our 1.5, 1.0 that we have right here. You can see vertex 0. It's got the same index as we have over here. So now let's put in our next vertex. I hit Alt A to deselect it because if I have it selected and I add a new one, it's going to automatically add an edge, and I don't want to do that. I want to add those on their own. So I'm going to go over to 3, 1 over here. You can see 2.984. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. See if I can nudge that up to 3 exactly. Pretty close. All right. There's a third number. That's the z-axis. They're all on 0 right now. If you look at it from the front and the side, nothing's going up. So we'll deal with that a little bit later. And then deselect. I'm going to put in our 3, 3 vertex. And see if I can just nudge that over a little bit to 3. Move it down. Okay, that's close enough. 3, 3, perfect. All right, so now to make a face, I'm going to select 2 vertices, the first 2. Oh, and what I'm going to do real quick, I've actually got the preferences open right here. I'm going to make the vertex size a lot bigger. You don't usually use it this big, but I have a setting turned on where you can see this blue 0 and blue 1. Those are the indices. Usually those aren't turned on in Blender's 3D viewport, but it's a special developer setting. You can see it, and I'll show you. You can just find it on Google. I had a screenshot to show you how to get to it, but just for the sake of brevity, we'll skip it. Just know it's in. You got to do developer options and preferences. If you just Google vertex indices, it'll show you how to turn them on if you really want them. I typically work without them, but they're there. I just want them for this video so that you can see, vertex 0 is labeled 0 over here, just like we have it in our, just like we have it labeled here in our visualization there. Okay, so 0 and 1 both selected. I press F, and that creates an edge. And I don't know if you were watching the edges list over here, that was at 1 before. This doesn't keep track of the indices and the edges. That's actually in the data API. Let's go through that now. So the spreadsheet updates while it's in edit mode, but I want to introduce the data API. And so we're in the outliner. This is the outliner you'll usually use is the view layer outliner, but the data API is also pretty interesting. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. This is where all of the data for the whole Blender file that I was kind of talking about here, you can find all of that in here. And so let's go to, you can see there's a drop down for meshes. We've got our upside down triangle to indicate a mesh, and it's titled cube. And I'll click down on that, and you can see vertices, edges, loops, and polygons. Loops is a type that we don't really need to deal with in this video. Polygons is the same. Remember, last video I said faces are polygons. Hopefully I mentioned that. But you can see vertices. Oh, and there's another thing. So the data API, this is, like I said, the spreadsheet updates in edit mode. The data API does not. So we've been in edit mode since I deleted the cube. And the cube had 8 vertices. And you can see there's 8 vertices right here, right? You can see there's like mesh vertex. It's got a bunch of stuff in it, but the main thing is a list of positions. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to tab out to object mode, tab back in. Now the data API is updated, and it reflects our mesh that we have here that only has 3 vertices. And so right here, vertices is a list of mesh vertices, right? Remember, vertex, vertex, vertex. Each one just has positions. And this is our list of XYZ positions, which you can see right here, also basically right over here. Let's tab back to Blender. So let's go to the list of edges. There's only one item. There's only one edge. And that edge is the list 0, 1 of our 2 vertices that we connected, just like over here. It's just 0, 1. And so let's do the other 2. And I'm going to hit F here. I'm going to hit F here. And this, you can see, this didn't update. I'm going to hit Tab, and it updates. And we've got our edges, our other edges with their list of vertices. And you can see that first one was the 0, 1. Second one is 1, 2, and the third one is 0, 2. And then the last thing we can do, we've got no polygons right now, no faces. If I select all 3 and I press F, I'm going to tab out to get it to update. You can see I've got one polygon. Mesh polygon, that's this is the list, the face list struct. This is just a single face struct. I can go in and you can see the list of vertices, which is 1, 2, and 0. So let me actually go ahead and just to demonstrate, let me add another vertex right here. This will be vertex number 3. I'm going to tab out so that you can see our vertex list up here, updating the API. Right? So this is mesh vertex number 3. I'm going to move it. Where do I want? Where do I want it? I want it to be over here at 1, 3. Right? And that's about what I've got down here. Tab out, make sure this is nice and updated. And then I'm going to make a face with these 3. And I'm going to press F. It automatically creates the edges and fills in a face. I'm going to hit, and you can see that the polygons list, the face list, is only 1 long. I tab out, it updates, now it's 2 long. You can see the vertices included are 3, 0, and 2. 3, 0, and 2. And so that's a mesh in Blender. And then you can start changing, like right now, this has only got X and Y coordinates because it's flat in Z. But if I take it and I move it up in Z, and you look down in the right hand corner there, you can see that Z coordinate is increasing. Let's move this up so that you can see that. As I move it up and down, the Z coordinate is changing. And I've been using it, I've been moving stuff around locked on different axes, but if you just press G, it'll move, you know, it'll move in a plane that is perpendicular to your view. So all 3 of them will get adjusted at once. And that's pretty much how working with meshes in Blender works. You're just interacting with the visualization to make it easier to update all of the positions, the data over on the back end. And so meshes are just lists of positions. How long do I have left? I'm on 12 minutes. Okay, you can stop the video here, I think, because I'll do resolution in another video. And I think maybe in the next video, we'll just jump into sculpting. Because I think, let me make sure I hit everything. Yeah, I think I pretty much everything. Just remember transforms, you can move stuff around. G, I'm rotating with middle mouse button. If I select 2 of these, I can press S, because like a vertex is a position, so if I press S, you can't scale a position. The position just is the position. But if you select 2, then the distance between them when you press S can get scaled. So if you select all of them and you press S, then you can scale them up and down. Just like when we were tabbed out and we're in edit mode, I can scale up and down. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the mesh video, or the 3D view video. And then you can also, if you've got stuff selected, you can rotate, but you don't have to have everything selected. You know, you don't have to rotate everything. You can just rotate what's selected. And we'll talk more about this in the modeling video. All right, thanks for watching.